Hello there, my name is Willow and I'm here with a speed paint. It's a pretty long one because it was 2 days in progress and 5 hours of recording, but this is both my first speed paint and first voiceover. If you're new here and perhaps haven't heard my voice yet, I'm sure this will be a little jarring in both regards since most speed paints don't have someone obnoxiously talking through them. But I'm glad you're tuning in because it means a lot. Anyway, the boy I'm drawing here is Leon Katine, one of my oldest and most developed OCs, or original characters. He's got a pretty messed up past and a lot of traumas and phobias, but he pulls through just barely with the help of his new boyfriend, Jackson. Right here, though, is seconds before doom. He's spiraling in the photo and pretty much on the verge of a relapse, but Jackson stops him. He usually does. He can't look in mirrors for too long because his mind starts playing tricks on him and pointing out all his flaws. You know how everyone looks different in their mind than how everyone else perceives them? He sees himself really horribly, like some obese monster with a skin infection. He's got really bad body image issues and doesn't really know how to deal with them. He suffers from clinical depression, PTSD, haphophobia, social and other anxiety disorders, and memory problems. The only reason he's miraculously still alive is because Jackson keeps him sane. Though they both keep each other sane, because Jackson has his own problems, and currently is running a gang. Anyway, in case you may have noticed, he does have vitiligo, a skin condition that causes splotches and dots. But on top of that, he has heterochromia, as you'll see near the end of the speed paint. These make him a really beautiful person despite his own beliefs, and he was honestly very fun to redesign, and design in general. He didn't have vitiligo in the very first part of his design, but I added it, I think, the second time I redesigned him. I know parts of him look a little wonky, like his right arm and eye, but he honestly turned out way better than I could have hoped, considering I was battling a block for the past week. I'll probably be posting more about him and his story, since he's basically my main character, so if you'd like to find out, stick around. If you'd like to just know more about him in general, here are some facts for you. Leo is an absolute coffee addict, and he started being one when he was much younger. He's canonically only 4'2", which is very short. He's currently 23, and Jackson is 24. His dead name is Leonard, but once he got away from his abusive household, he legally changed his first and last name to Leon Katine, and usually goes by Leo. He helps wherever he can, and works casually at a floral shop. He regularly goes to a university and is studying art, music, and astronomy. Jackson bought him a telescope recently, and he loves using it until the early hours of the morning. Which he usually stays up very, very late. If not for art or watching the stars, then for binging anime or doing schoolwork. He built his own house in the middle of the woods and has 6 familiars whose names are Atalanta, Fleur, Manta, Ueno, Starshine, and Gent. He has 2 cats, Willow and Rain, and is soon to get a puppy. He has 2 friends from university, a goofball named Xavier, and a much more shy and quiet boy named Cody, who Leo relates to quite a bit. Leo is fluent in French, as it was his first language as a kid, and he's an incredible cook, but has a horrible appetite, so Jackson often has to remind him to eat. A fun fact about his boyfriend is that Jackson is half vampire and half demon. Leo is a cat shifter, or what I call a neko. I know, cheesy and overused. When in cat form, he's a long-haired calico orange tabby with 1 folded ear. He has really bad eyesight, so he usually wears these big red frames, but his right eye, the blue one, is much worse, so he often doubles with the contact on it, and sometimes when he's feeling extra insecure, or just insecure in general, he wears a colored one to make it match his gold eye. He has a terrible immune system due to his mother always keeping the house spotless, among other factors. We have one child planned for Leon and Jackson way down the line named Saron. Jackson absolutely despises another character named Jack. He's charismatic, constantly smirking, and has bright red hair. Jack loves to mess with Jackson, and it bothers the hell out of him. Xavier makes fun of Leo's height sometimes, and gets kicked in the leg for it. For sure. In addition to those facts, I have a story about his Lyme disease collapse at the ready. If you'd like to listen, tune in. It was a colder day today. Colder than normal, even in winter. Or maybe it just felt that way to him. He turned the heat up considerably on the thermos and wrapped himself in blankets while he woke up, sipping out his second cup of bitter black coffee. Rain had come to lay beside him on the sofa, since he had his knees tucked up to his chest. Shuffling Tad and pausing the movie he'd put on, Leon decided to set his cup down and get up, so he could go to use the restroom. However, upon standing, a wave of nausea and vertigo stronger than he had ever experienced hit him, and he instantly sat back down, but it didn't go away. He placed a hand over his mouth and whimpered, louder than he meant to. The cat beside him startled and glanced up, mewling in concern. Getting up again, he wobbled massively and very nearly fell over on his coffee table. He managed to steady himself despite the fact the room was quite literally spinning. He frantically shuffled his way down the hall and into the bathroom, where he fell to his knees and vomited for at least 40 seconds straight. This was more or less relatively normal, although he never really puked for so long, or had such a heavy occurrence of vertigo and dizziness. What sunk the ship for it not being normal was an intense throbbing pain in most parts of his torso, along with his head. His chest had tightened considerably, and it was getting harder to breathe by the second. He flushed the toilet, rubbed any remnants from his lips on a tissue, and then stood a little unsteadily. He used the wall for support and started outside like an idiot. The cold air only made it worse, rather than better, like usual. It stung his lungs like he was taking in breaths of carbon monoxide. This is when he blacked out, absolutely collapsed right in front of his familiars. Panic struck them, specifically Fleur. She instantly swooped down and nudged him with her beak, then squawked angrily at Atalanta and had the dragon put the boy on her back. Delicately, she took off with Manta in tow and began racing into town so they could get him admitted to the hospital. He'd had too many health scares lately for the blackout to not be a serious problem. That's fortunately not going to happen for quite a bit of time, though other things are about to go down that are definitely much worse sounding. But, I've got a much lighter toned story, if you would like to hear that, which I will be reading next. He learned he could tame and make familiars when he turned 18. When he was out in the wilderness and freezing in his sleeping bag, a six-tailed fox came and wrapped herself around him, comforting and warming him and helping him sleep peacefully. She was his first tame. Bueno. Then came Fleur, a blue phoenix. She was pissy as hell about him building near her nest, and he compromised, saying he would build her somewhere to build a nest. And after her was Manta, a discolored leopard with horns and wings that was extremely aggressive when she crash-landed and Leon came to help. With a few scratches, he nurtured her back to health, and she thanked him by granting her familiar rank to him. The only one Leon had to go looking for was Atalanta, and he was a huge four-winged dragon with a nasty temper and a glowing mouth. Leo had gone out one day just to see what animals roamed the area, and got lost. He thought he could find his way back home, so he insisted his familiars stay there. When he was pinned down by sharp talons, and a roar was bellowed just into his face. He looked so petrified that the dragon found amusement and laughed at him. Leon begged not to be injured, and after a little consideration, the dragon let him go. He wandered around for about 2 more hours when Atalanta gave in and came down to grab him and take him home. "Helpless imbecile," he had hissed, but not without humor in his voice. "You could get us both killed not calling your familiars." The mention of them set Leo off, and he asked Atalanta if he would like to become one. He nearly dropped the blonde and had to steady his wing beats as he neared the house. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a wonderful day, night, evening, whatever time it is for you while you're watching this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye bye.